I think the writing's on the wall for the East Coast market. We are facing major issues in this country, particularly in coming winters, where there's just not going to be enough gas. And so what I think came out of that conference is we need more gas supply, we need faster approvals, and we've really got to focus on energy security for Australia's people.
Empire Energy Group, ASX EEG on the Australian Stock Exchange, is a progressive explorer and imminent developer of energy supply out of the Northern Territory. And joining me right now is Managing Director Alex Underwood. Hello, Alex.
G'day, Tim. Great to catch up.
Absolutely. Breaking headline. There's been a major disruption in infrastructure in the NT. Can you please outline what's going on?
Yeah, so the big news recently is that the Northern Gas Pipeline will be shut in until at least June. The Northern Gas Pipeline was developed in the last few years to export gas from the Northern Territory into the undersupplied East Coast gas market. But due to some major supply disruptions in the Territory, they're trying to keep gas in the Territory, and even then the NT market is very undersupplied. So the NT needs more gas.
Would you say this is an energy crisis?
Well, the East Coast gas crisis has been a term bandied around for a while. I think that the NT market has now reached crisis stage, and to quote Winston Churchill, never let a good crisis go to waste. And from Empire's perspective, we're looking to do our bit to help solve it.
Absolutely. Now, you recently presented at the East Coast Gas Conference. What were the key takeaways from that?
Yeah, so that was a great conference. I mean, we had speakers like Ian Davies at Cenex and Samantha McCulloch, the CEO of the industry body, Australian Energy Producers. And, you know, they think more holistically about Australia's East Coast market. And, you know, I think the writing's on the wall for the East Coast market. We are facing major issues in this country, particularly in coming winters, where there's just not going to be enough gas. And so what I think came out of that conference is we need more gas supply, we need faster approvals, and we've really got to focus on energy security for Australia's people.
Does this reflect on the latency of government making decision that's causing delays?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, if you look at Cenex, for an example, I mean, they've been waiting a very long time for their approvals. They've got some incredible owners of that business with serious financial capacity, and we've got a deeply undersupplied market, and, you know, they're waiting on approvals. So, you know, I think in this country where we're incredibly blessed to have some of the biggest resource endowments in the world, particularly in energy, you know, we shouldn't be in this position. We need to be getting more gas supply into the market. And if as a country we're going to move away from coal-fired power, which seems to be a foregone conclusion, we can't just rely on solar panels and wind turbines because they don't work all the time, believe it or not. So gas is the perfect complement. But also, it's not just about power generation. You know, I think as part of national security, we need our own manufacturing sector in this country, and that gas is a critical feedstock for manufacturing. And it's been really interesting to see some of the unions actually coming in and siding with the gas industry in terms of cleaning up this regulatory system, because they are very concerned about their workers.
You know, I don't think a lot of people think too often about the widespread influence that gas and energy has, all the way from major manufacturing, consumers, as well as retail businesses, all rely on gas, and you know, it's a terrible thing that through the delay in approvals, as you mentioned, we're now, and it's been projected for the last couple of years at least, that there's going to be a shortage. And now we're seeing the results of that with gas pipelines being turned off and redirected. How do you see Empire Energy fitting into that particularly because this is a local issue. You're in the NT. The NT pipeline's been redirected. How is Empire Energy looking to assist with that?
Yeah, I mean, the first point I would make is we are sitting on an absolutely enormous gas resource. It's 47 trillion cubic feet of gas equivalent. To put that into perspective, an LNG train needs about 4 TCF of gas to produce for 20 years. So this is one of the biggest gas deposits on Earth. While we envisage that we can move into LNG export down the track, you know, as a proud Australian myself and as a proudly Australian company, I think it's incumbent on us to do our bit to help, in the first instance, the NT population, and then further down the track, Australia's East Coast population have energy security and affordable energy. We are very well advanced on our plans to move into pilot production in about the next 12 months. We've bought a second-hand gas processing facility for a very attractive price. We're negotiating gas sales agreements. We're working on financing. We've submitted all of our regulatory documents. And if we can pull that plan together, we anticipate being in the field in the second half of this year, installing the processing facility, drilling another well, and getting the gas flowing. That's going to put downward pressure on gas prices in the NT. It's going to create more jobs for the NT. It's going to get the royalties flowing to the NT government. And then ultimately, in the next few years, we see a tremendous opportunity to start moving significant volumes of gas into Australia's East Coast. And really, when you look at the medium term, there's two options. There's the Beetaloo or there's LNG import. Now, I think it would be crazy for us to be one of the world's biggest LNG exporters to be importing LNG. It's bloody expensive. It's not as environmentally friendly. And you know, we don't want to be at the whim of global LNG markets. We've got to be developing our own resources for our own people.
And, you know, nobody wants to see the cost of energy continue to rise and by the looks of things double if these shortages continue. So the average consumer is going to be paying a lot more for electricity. But, you know, that's a flow-on from businesses that produce goods that then have to pass on costs to consumers. I mean, everybody, the whole country suffers. So I'm looking forward to the plant moving from Sydney to the NT and pumping gas into the pipeline.
Yeah, well, we've already moved the plant from Sydney up to the yard in Roma in Queensland. Soon we'll be refurbishing the compressor engines. And, you know, subject to getting the approvals in place, we'll be installing it in the second half of this year, hooking into existing test wells that we've already drilled. And as I mentioned, drilling and fracking another horizontal well, tying that in. And if all goes well, it could be as soon as early next year, if not middle of next year, that the gas will be flowing, which would be a first for the Beetaloo.
Wow. Well, you know, I hope investors are watching and taking note of this because, you know, with the insatiable need at the moment for gas energy in the NT, the future is looking very bright. Investors watching ASX EEG on the US OTC markets, it's EEGUF. And I've been speaking with Managing Director Alex Underwood. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate your time.